All right, awesome. All right, so I still haven't gotten the replays to work. I'm gonna still work on that. Um, Tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, what's your current MMR? What heroes you like to play? Those sorts of things.
Yeah, I just linked you my Dota buff, by the way, in Skype. But
Okay, cool.
yeah, I've been playing Dota since Dota 1, but like really on and off. Like I barely played in Dota 1. And when Dota 2 came out, I started playing more and more, but still like really on and off. So I've been playing a long time, but not really seriously until like the last year or so.
Okay.
When I first calibrated MMR, I was probably like 3.3k or something like that. Um, and then I worked really hard at it for like a while, and then I went up to about 3.9. I was stuck there for a while, and then I went up to about 4.3 or so, and I was stuck there for a while. And uh, after some more time, I got up, like right now I'm at 4.9 or 5k, and now I've been stuck there for months. So
Okay.
be nice to get to like the next plateau.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Is this your only account?
I've had one other sort of main account before with like hundreds of games on it, and that would be it.
Okay. I'm
So
gonna share my screen and show you why I asked. Because
yeah,
you said you've been playing, for, about a year now, but there's this huge gap here. Were you
yeah.
playing on the other account during that time?
No, no, no. I think what happened there is that I may have like turned off the social
Okay, okay.
thing. Yeah, so it didn't record all my games, but I was definitely active like all that time.
Okay, sure, that's fine. Because I was gonna say like, okay, well, you just told me you were grinding for like a year and you have
Yeah.
like 8 months missing. So okay, no, that makes sense. That's cool. Um,
I think like
Ship to
all that
5K.
downtime is just social being turned off for whatever reasons.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Okay, so I mean, you've gone from 3.3K, I think you said, to 5K and or almost 5K anyway, in about a year's time, which is like pretty good. That's honestly like a good rate of growth. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Like that's a perfectly normal pace. Um,
Okay.
okay, what roles do you like to play?
Yeah, so I used to play a lot of support. I mean, you'll see that from my Dota buff. And I had pretty good win rates on those. I liked climbing those when I was in 3K and 4K
Hmm.
because it felt like that's what pub teams needed, and also if I picked support heroes like Lena that could also farm, then I can transition into a core. And also like heroes like Winter Wyvern and Lena in certain patches were very strong. Um, so I kind of played with that. So in just recently when I hit like 4.5 or so, I started wanting to play one position. So that's what I've been playing mostly lately.
Okay.
But I think one of the problems in climbing MR is that I play too many different things. Like I'll even play like
Yes.
offlane sometimes. So it's kind of a problem. Um,
Yeah. That's certainly something like I preach is basically like you're kind of gimping yourself in a sense by trying to play everything. It might seem like you're like improving your game understanding by like randoming every game or like just picking a different hero every game. But that's really not the case in a lot of cases. Like, yes, okay, maybe out of randoming, your overall game understanding might be slightly better than a person who just spams one hero every game. But
mm,
that person who's playing one hero has so much more knowledge when it comes to specialization, and not just like specialization as Slark. It's like, okay, that person knows how to play Mirana against Slark because he's played so many Slark games against Mirana. You know what I mean?
yeah, fair enough. It goes
Like,
with as you're saying.
yeah, so that applies to like everything. So obviously, like, okay, by playing Slark, you don't become a Mirana expert. That's not what I'm saying at all. But that knowledge is still there. Um, so I definitely approve of the idea of like just sticking to 3 to 4 different heroes, even at your current MMR.
Yeah, so that's actually one of my questions is like, how do you actually do that in solo queue? Because especially for one position, it's like really hard to even get one position in solo
Mhm.
queue, and I don't want to like if you try to take lane or even ask for it, people rage and stuff. So like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's pretty much just like you first pick. That's how you do it. If people rage or whatever, then fuck it. If okay, so if like you're the lowest MMR in the game, or if you think you're the lowest, then you don't pick carry right away, just out of like respect for your team or whatever. That's just kind of a douchebag thing to do.
Hmm.
And it's certainly ruined a lot of games. Um, but other than that, like just first pick. If you think you're
Okay.
like third or highest, or third or second or first highest MMR, then don't worry about it really. People will get over it.
So basically, just like first pick Slark and or like Jug, and
Yeah,
just take the lane.
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Be careful because like I'm not really up to date on the meta and stuff, so I can't tell you if you can actually like first pick Slark and get away with it. Um,
Yeah.
but that's the idea, yeah. Jug you definitely can, probably can in every patch from here on until the end of the time. Same with a hero
Yeah.
like Sven. Yeah, those heroes are just going to be around.
Okay. So since you're not update with the current meta, there's probably like some things that I can't really ask you, but
Well, I mean, feel free to ask and I can give you an honest answer. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
mind saying
yeah.
I don't know something.
All right. Well, yeah. So is there anything else about Dota buff and like stats that you want to look at before other
Not
things?
not particularly. I mean, like I can check your CS values. I'm sure they're fine. I have 160 CS here. I mean, that's really all I look for is like to make sure you don't feed every game and make sure you have like relatively decent CS.
Yeah.
Those are the first things to look for really. But you're 5K. Like if you're 5K and you play carry, there's like almost no chance that your CS is like a huge issue.
Yeah.
Like yeah, see, this is an LC game and you have 170 CS at 29 minutes. That's totally fine. Could be a little higher, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah. He's the offlaner that I like to play. So
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. She's my baby for a while.
for sure. I don't think CSing is my issue. I think I'm
Yeah.
relatively efficient, and like farming is my playstyle. I like to farm and just get ahead, and it
hmm
just makes fights easier if you're ahead. And I like to push out lanes and stuff. So I think that's what I'm decent at. What I'm not good at, I think, is laning phase. I know it needs a lot of work because I just started playing one position semi recently, and even though I played support before, it's a little bit different. And also, late game fights, I'm a little bit like panicky and don't really. I'm not really good at like target selection and stuff like that, and like positioning in fights.
Okay.
That's why I wish we could watch replays.
Yeah, that would be nice. That's like kind of the whole thing that my coaching revolves around. I do
No,
verbal lessons and stuff, but yeah. Um, okay. So obviously it's hard for me to give you advice on like your laning if I can't see you play.
yeah,
But the fighting thing I can talk about. So basically, when it comes to being panicky in fights, it usually stems from a lack of like not looking around. Basically, if you're not looking around actively, you don't know what's going on, and if you don't know what's going on, then you're uncomfortable.
yeah.
Dota is much easier if you use your eyeballs and look around and like actually move your camera. Like a lot of people won't do that. If you actively look around the fight and like are still able to control your hero during that, then fights become a lot easier. Obviously, that's not like the one easy trick to increase your MMR by 1,000 or whatever, but that's something that can work towards that and will really help if you can actively implement that.
Okay, so like one thing I could do is go into my replays if they ever work ever,
hmm
and look at my player perspective and see if I'm doing that or not.
Uh, yeah, you could do that, but honestly, you can just start doing it, um,
That's true.
and not worry
Yeah.
about like if you were doing it before. I think that'd be a better use of your time.
Okay. Cool.
Watching your own replays is great if you're at this level, but I wouldn't specifically watch for that reason.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So, and again, like for target selection, I know it's a big problem for me, but I don't know
mhm.
exactly why. But like, and I don't know how we can even talk about it without watching a replay either. But I don't know. Is there anything you can say in general on target selection, especially for heroes like Slark and Jug and AM and stuff like that?
Well, target selection for different heroes, or for heroes, is different. So a hero like Jug, Slark, and Anti-Mage, usually those are heroes that have some sort of like Blink or Shadow Blade or whatever. Even Jug, he usually buys Blink Dagger. So they all have easy ways to get to whatever target they want. Um, so if you want to kill an enemy disruptor because you think his ult is like the most impactful spell in the fight, then you can do it. In most
Okay.
cases, assuming items don't get in the way of like Ghost Scepters or whatever. Um, so for those heroes, it's actually kind of easy. It's just like you pick the target that you think will impact the fight the most, whether it's the carry because he's going to do a lot of damage, whether it's a support because their ult is going to be impactful, um, those things. Or if it's like a hero that's killing your really impactful hero, like your I don't fucking know, Disruptor's about to die, or your Shadow Demon's about to die, or something like that. Um, that's fine as well. Um,
Yeah.
so those heroes have it kind of easy. It gets harder on heroes that like, let's say, like Drow. Drow can't really just like get into the middle of a fight. She kind of just has to hit what's close. Um, so I mean, I
Okay.
guess that's a little different. Does that help at all?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Um, I guess we can go a little bit more specific. Um, For like Slark, one problem that I feel like I've been having is like I know a hero that I want to go on in a fight, but they with Slark you don't really like blow up a hero.
Hmm.
So if you're trying to fight, for instance, the enemy carry, like some of the popular meta heroes are like Morphling and AM and Jug and things like that, and like you don't really kill them. But if you don't go on them, they're going to do a lot of damage. So what ends up happening is like you go on them, but you don't really kill anyone, and then you
Right.
spent like 15 seconds in a fight without actually killing a hero. Um, and if you go on a support, then the Morphling or AM is just going to go on your team. So
Hmm.
it's just like kind of I never feel like I know exactly what to do because of that.
I will say that usually killing supports as Slark is like the best idea.
Yeah,
If you can't kill somebody, then you probably shouldn't be hitting them. The only upside to that is like you get essence shift stacks if you're hitting somebody who you don't kill.
yeah,
But that's not really like good if you lose a fight. It doesn't like nobody cares about your essence shift if you lose. Um, so usually it's better to just like secure kills on the supports and hope your team does well. Um, that's kind of how it goes. If you think
okay,
about it, like you're killing their supports and their enemy hero is killing your supports, except your hero is really good at killing supports, whereas anti-mage is like good at killing most things. Same with Morphling, really. Um,
okay.
yeah, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Just like kill whoever you think you can kill. That's the best way to go.
That's fair enough. Okay.
Also,
Um,
maybe initiating a bit earlier or like trying to go in at different times might help. But yeah, that's super general. So
yeah, well, that's I mean that's a good thing to have some like conceptual understanding of is like I don't really know exactly why I'm going in to start a fight, but I do it out of feel and stuff like that. But
mhm.
like what conceptually should I be thinking about when I'm thinking about starting a fight as Slark? Like most of the time I just feel it out and like run in if I think I can survive or whatever. But um,
Well,
I
it's a
don't know.
couple things. Okay, so there are usually some signs that you look out for, like, okay, this hero is like slightly ahead of his teammates or whatever, or he's slightly behind, and it will take some time for his teammates to respond. Um, so you can go in that hero, or it's like, okay, let's say Pudge throws out a hook and it misses. That means like Pudge doesn't have hook for the next 8 seconds, and you can go in. Obviously, that's like a really weird example for a team fight, but
Yeah.
that's there. That's more of like a skirmish thing, if anything. Um, there's like what's an initiation ult here? It also depends on the position of your allies too, of course. Like you don't want to initiate if your allies aren't able to follow up. Really, I'd say it's mostly positional when it comes to Slark. Like okay, let me bust out paint here.
Sure. So I have a quick question
Yeah,
while
sure.
you're opening up Rotor. Like, so I'm finding, especially as I get higher in MMR, that there really is no like easy answer or like general solutions to like anything. Like how much are you actually really thinking about all the little details of every hero in a game when you're at high MMR? Like, are you really thinking, Pudge missed a hook, so now I'm thinking about their disruptor in the background and positioning of him and like what I can do in the space. Like, are you really thinking about all those little details, or are you
I don't
thinking
think
kind
most
of more
people are.
generally?
I don't think most
Okay.
people are. I think most high MMR players have basically like played so many games that they have an understanding, like an instinctual understanding of what's going on. It's like they'll look for the key signs. Like they will 100% look for like, okay, Pudge missed hook, I'm going in. That will be
Okay.
there, and they'll be waiting for that. But everything after that is like purely reactive. I think they're maybe like the absolute best of the best players can predict how a team fight is going to go, like based off that, and like run the entire simulation in their head, so to speak. But I think for most players, it's reactive after that,
Okay.
and they just kind of like know intuitively who to target, or they've planned that out beforehand. It's definitely not like they're fucking running equations in their head or whatever.
Right.
Like don't worry about that.
Okay,
Um,
so but I should have like some key things that I'm thinking about with certain heroes, though, for sure.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay.
Or if it's like maybe Dazzle uses Grave or something, he just art styles to initiate a team fight, something like that. Like that would be a key to go in as well.
Okay.
Things of that nature. Um, yeah, okay.
All right.
So I forgot what was strong. I think it's Slark and target selection, so I'm gonna keep going with that. Okay, so you are red. Actually, I should make you blue. That makes more sense. Okay. No, we'll make you green. Okay. You're Slark and you're green.
Okay.
Um, target that you want to kill is red. And then his allies. What the fuck? Okay, there we go.
The other one turned to red
Wait, what
also.
the fuck? Oh my god. All right. Okay, this is challenging. All right.
It turned to red again.
Yeah, it did. All right, here we go. I think I got it. All right,
Yeah.
excellent. Okay, so what were we talking about again? Because like this is kind of like got me distracted. I think it was like target selection and Slark, but
Kind of like starting a fight as Sark and I
and
don't know.
what you should be thinking about? What was that?
Yeah,
What was
just
that?
like positioning in fights as Sark and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, I can't even. I honestly can't even remember like
I know.
what the question
You,
was.
you
Okay,
you had somewhere you were gonna go with it, I think, and then yeah.
yeah. Then we talked about the other thing. Okay, well I'm gonna put this on hold for now because it's
Okay,
honestly not. I'm not gonna bullshit you here. There's no point going over that. Okay.
it's fine.
All right.
There's
Okay.
plenty of things to talk about.
Yeah. So what
Uh,
next?
yeah. Another like specific question I have that sort of relates is building Blink on Juggernaut.
Hmm.
Um, right now I build it in some games, but again I'm not like exactly sure why. It's just kind of feel like I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to initiate, and my team isn't great at initiating, so I build it. But like, is there any like more specific reason I should be building it or not in certain games?
I usually look at the enemy team when I build blink. It's basically like if I blink on somebody, what is their counterplay? And if their counterplay isn't very strong, or if it's like okay, they have to do something really specific, then I'll buy it. But if their counterplay is like beat my dumb ass up, like spawn Chaos Knight illusions and just fuck me, then I won't buy blink because it doesn't make sense to blink on a Chaos Knight or
Okay.
whatever, something like that. That's like my thought process usually. Also, Chaos Knight is like kind of a bad example because blink is actually good against him, but you get my point basically. If you're gonna be blinking on top of a hero, you better be able to kill them.
Okay.
Or like you could also use blink defensively in some cases.
Yeah, because I like Blink for split pushing and things like that too,
Hmm.
and just sort of getting around the map in general.
Yeah, it is really
Um,
nice. That's a perfectly valid reason to buy it as well. If you think you need blink to split push and like carry the game that way, then that's fine. But definitely you want some sort of reason to buy it.
okay, fair enough. And what percentage of high level like I'm wondering when I should be building or not actually be building Battle Fury on Jug as well because it feels like it's always the right item to me,
Hmm.
but that might just be because of my playstyle. Like I just like to split push and farm a lot.
Yeah, every single drug video I've ever done, I tell people to buy Battle Fury all the time. I think it's 90% of the time the best item, and that other 10% of the time, it's only not good if you're playing against like TI level players who are gonna like end the game in 15 minutes if you don't fight
Okay.
with SNY or whatever. So I don't. I think you should always go Battle Fury in pubs personally. Um,
Okay. Me
yeah,
too. I mean, one of the reasons that I even like listed here is that it's basically late game insurance. Every pub goes way later than it should, so it
yeah, exactly.
just makes more sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are like very just few anomaly games where like the other team will pick Chen or something and end the game really early, but um, yeah, I would just go Battle Fury. That being said, there are games where SNY is 100% appropriate,
Okay.
specifically against heroes that you would have to team fight early.
Okay. You didn't say Manta, you said SNY. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I guess you could go Manta in some games, but when I think of like not going Battle Fury, I think SNY because like you want to fight. But you could go Manta if the situation calls for it too. That's fine.
Okay. All right. Um. Yeah. Okay. I have some Slark item questions too.
Yeah, sure.
uh, I I have a huge slot problem on Slark, and I'm sure like every good Slark player does, but he doesn't have enough item slots, and he wants way too many items, and I'm not sure how to manage that in the best way.
Mhm.
I think I have a decent like item build, but um, like for instance in the mid game, you want Treads, TP, Shadow Blade, um, Iron Talon, Raindrops, and Echo Saber,
Mhm.
and or I don't know, and then like you don't really always have room for Wand, and you always really want to build Wand on Slark, but I don't feel like you can most of the time because of item slots.
Right.
So yeah, I don't really know what the best way to manage his item slots are, and also like even late game on Slark, like a lot of games I want to build Lincolns and I want to build BKB, but I can't because of item slots, and
Okay.
then it affects my team fighting a lot.
Okay. So with items, this is like a huge issue with most carries is you want like wand tequila, raindrops if the game calls for it. Your treads, TP scrolls, those sorts of things. In Slark's case, I think he's one of the few heroes where like you would get rid of your Iron Talon first. Um, he farms really fucking quickly, and Iron Talon does make him farm much faster. Just like every hero.
Mm.
And I could be totally wrong on this. I don't know what Slarks are doing nowadays, but this is like my take on it. Um, I think he's one of the heroes that farms so quickly and can push waves so quickly and can jungle so quickly that like you don't necessarily need it, and you'd be better off, keeping your Aquila or having a wand or something like that.
Okay.
It depends though. Okay, so let's talk about what you would actually buy. So Treads must buy, Aquila pretty much must buy.
Mm.
I don't even know about that. Is Aquila must buy? Probably, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Echo Saber pretty much a must buy.
Hmm.
Um, what would you replace Echo Saber with, like realistically? Probably nothing, right?
Yeah, probably nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
think it's pretty much must buy. Yeah.
Yeah, same with like Silver Edge or I guess Blink Dagger if you're going for that build, which I don't necessarily think that's that good anymore.
Silver
Um,
Edge, you don't think is that
no,
good?
no, Silver Edge is
Or
great. Silver Edge is great, or Shadowblade is great. Silver Edge is great sometimes, but Blink
I could
Dagger is like an
see.
occasional thing.
Yeah, I almost never build Blink Dagger on him because I don't really understand the reason why people build it on him. I just think Shadowblade's too good in pubs.
It probably is too good in pubs, honestly. I used to when I played Slark for a little tiny bit. I didn't play him too much. I built Blink when I could just blink on somebody and kill them in the middle of a team fight, and they had no like way of responding. Um,
Yeah.
I specifically remember killing an ancient apparition doing that, but I can't remember like what the context was. So that's not helpful at all. But there it is. Okay. All right. So yeah. So
All
we
right.
got one, two, three, four items so far. You also want TP. That's not really That's not really optional. Um, what would we add for our last option here? Over wand, raindrops, or iron talon?
Try to kill Echo Saber Silver Edge, but
Yeah, let's do this. It depends, right? It depends on if you're
yeah.
farming a lot, if you're buying raindrops, or I guess like it depends on if you had a wand for the laning phase.
Mm,
A wand is probably like the best general option, I would say.
yeah. I guess so. I mean, I really like raindrops on him, but once you get Echo Saber, I guess you don't absolutely need him. And I don't know. I guess like the problem is that I'm valuing Iron Talon like a lot. Like I don't want to drop it till like 25 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's extremely good. Is the thing like
Yeah.
it's
So
pretty
like that
amazing.
is what I would put in that slot,
Hmm
100%. And like I guess the start of this question is like I almost never buy one on Slark, but I feel like I should be. So
I don't think so. I don't think it's necessary. Like it's a fantastic item and it's really good for a skirmishing hero like Slark, but I don't think it's like 100% necessary.
okay.
I think this is honestly like more of a stylistic thing, and I think like any analyst or player would hate me for saying that, but I really think this is like more of a stylistic thing in pubs. It's about like okay, if you're very farm heavy, then sure buy Iron Town, that's fine. If you want to fight nukers, then fine buy raindrops, that's fine. Or you could use one for that as well. I also like thought of detection if you're playing against like a Ricky or Bounty Hunter or something.
Yes.
That's also
Yeah.
where you would place that. Because like you
Hmm.
can't just walk around with it without having an item slot. So personally, I think it's like stylistic. If you have to choose detection over this, then I would say detection is always better. Like having a
Yes.
gem or something, that's just better. Um, but yeah, I don't think that this choice is like that important. Well, it is important, but I don't think it's like something you should stress over. You should just like feel it out and see what works for you, really.
Okay. Fair enough. Um. Okay. And then late game is probably like even more. Um. Yeah. Even I'm not like even more unsure about it, but like
Okay.
there's a lot of games where I want to build Lincolns on Slark. I think it's a great item, but I don't have the slot, and also it doesn't give me any damage,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's a huge issue with it. And a lot of times, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier with like not being able to kill a hero in a fight a lot of the time, even though I'm like hitting someone the whole time,
Right.
is I build things like BKB and Lincolns, probably not both, but and then I have like a Shadow Blade for an item which gives okay damage but not great, and like Scotty which is again like stats but not great damage.
Right.
And I yeah, so I
Well,
guess like do I just give up Lincoln's or BKB and then like just rely on my play and build a damage item?
sometimes yeah, you have to. That's the answer, but sometimes you do have to build BKB too. Like if you're gonna get spam nuked while you're shadow danced and you're just gonna die, like to Leshrac or Lina or whatever, or Queen of Pain is another good example of that. Puck is a good example of that. Then you have to go BKB. Like sometimes you just have to. You have no choice. But in some games, if you feel like you can outplay them, like okay, let's say they do have a Quap or a Puck, but they don't really have any other AoE nukes. So if you just make sure you get Shadow Dance off, you'll live in fights and you'll be able to do damage. Then that's acceptable. That's fine. Um,
Okay.
being too inclined to buy BKB can be game losing in pubs. Even if it's like the correct item to buy. Sometimes you just need to play better and like carry your team.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Again, because games go too late again. You
Yeah.
sometimes have to just stick it out, kind
And
of.
also another thing to add on to that is since games tend to go late, if you buy BKB relatively early, you can kind of like fuck yourself over, especially in pubs. Like because if you're, you know, if we're working under the assumption that you need to carry your team in fights, it's harder and harder to do that as your BKB charges go down, as your BKB timer goes down anyway.
Okay. Yeah, that happens sometimes for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I'm buying it because I feel like I need it, and then it gets late, and
Right.
yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So
Let
it
me
might be
see what else
better.
I have.
Yeah, sure. So in the future, it might be better to buy a farming item over a BKB. Like buy your SNY or Silver Edge or whatever. Or I guess does Slark even buy farming items? Fuck, man.
What do you mean?
He doesn't buy SNY anymore, really. It's
No.
mostly like Silver Edge and Scotty now. Okay, yeah, he doesn't really buy those things. Okay, so I guess just HP item is a um better term for that.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind me.
It's okay. I guess one thing to just add to that really quick is I think in certain games, you can correct me, but I think you would replace Echo Saber maybe with like Orchid if it was a very specific situation. Like you
Mhm.
would need two reasons probably to do it, not just one. Like if you think it would give you extra kill targets with it, and you could build it into the whatever the hell the crit item is that you build it into. Do
Mhm.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Bloodthorn, I
Okay.
think, is the item. So yes, I think
That would
that's.
replace Echo Saber, or
I think you'd have to replace it with Echo Saber, yeah. Or replace Echo Saber with that. Um, I've built Orchid on Slark before, and I've seen it built before. I think it's acceptable in some cases, but I feel like the problem with building Orchid on Slark is like he has a hard time killing BKB targets in
Mhm.
general, and Orchid does not help with that at all. Um, it's like you're investing gold into this item that doesn't help against BKBs. So it's really good against supports, but you need to make sure that like you're not building it into like three cores who are going to build BKB or something like that.
Okay.
I think that's important as well.
All right. So think more about like those bad reasons about late game having it. Okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
That being said, though, Bloodthorn is probably really good on him.
Yeah.
Okay. In other news, though, this replay actually worked, so we can watch it if you want.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Which one is it? Really quick.
I don't know. Hold on.
All right. Whatever. Just yeah.
It's this one with Silencer, Tinker, Kunkka, Abaddon on your team.
All right. Let's just yeah. We can just start it up.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Yeah. Right away with starting item builds, I tend to build like a lot of regen.
Mm-hmm.
Because typically supports don't play very well at
Yeah.
this level,
That's a
and
nice way of putting it.
it's just insurance basically. It just allows me to trade if I need to and survive bad lanes and harass more than
Mm-hmm.
I would typically need to if I had a perfect support player, or if I played even perfectly. It just is insurance for all of the mistakes that are going to happen inevitably. So
Right. No, I think that's totally fine. That's a good policy to have, really.
okay, like I don't understand why more people don't do it. Like I see people buy like only two sets of regen in way too many games, it seems like. But if they had another set of tangos, they could sit in lane and never have to go back, and it just makes things a lot easier.
Well, so
I thought you might criticize me a little bit for it because I buy it like this is my starting I build on Sark in a high percentage of games, I would say.
no, I think it's fine. I think like you need enough regen to get you to level 6 on Slark, specifically. So the reason a lot of people won't do it is because when you do this, you do delay some of your power spikes. Like, okay, you get treads earlier, or you get treads later, you get PMS later, you get Aquila later, and like that slows down your farm like for the rest of the game. slightly. It's obviously not like, okay, you bought an extra set of tangos, so you're just like fucked. You're like 5 minutes behind or anything. But it does slow you down a little bit. So I think that's like the biggest reason why people like try to buy the perfect amount of regen rather than too much.
Okay.
I personally think that you can almost never have too much regen. I'm a big fan of the famous like 12 Tango Tidehunter offlane. Like
I've
I think
actually never
that's
heard of that.
really okay. That was like TI4 days. When people were playing Skywrath Mage and like you were just this Tidehunter who didn't have an Iron Talon way back then, and you had to lane against the Skywrath Mage, as a support plus like his other cronies. So you bought 12 Tangos and then he couldn't zone you out, and you just got XP forever. So I think that's like a fine strategy. I don't have any issues with it. Just make sure like you're getting CS. That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost always buy an early Quelling Blade, just like right away, just because I think it's going to pay for itself in the CS that I would miss otherwise.
Okay, that's fine. If you're playing against a range hero, buy a PMS instead. But yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay. Yeah. And also buying the extra regen at the start allows me to get the Quelling Blade and compensate for my poor CSing. But
Right.
it's not like it's that poor, but it definitely allows me to get 4 or 5 extra last hits that I probably would miss, and it pays for itself, I think.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, I like the. Okay, that was really good. That's advanced.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know where I learned that. It was from an old video of something. I don't know.
Okay, well,
But
that
I
was
love
good.
doing that.
Yep. It's good either way. Your equilibrium. There we go. English control is good. Not much to talk about really. You're one-on-one with the creeps.
Yeah. It's easy in lanes like this, obviously.
Yeah. No, I mean, like this is fine. It's good that you can actually execute this. So, it's pretty important. Okay. Only criticism so far is like you could look at what's happening mid, but it's really not 100% necessary.
No, that's fair. I mean, I know that's one of my problems. I don't move my camera around. You'll see it in the mid game too. I think I'm pushing the lane here on purpose.
Yeah,
because there's no one in the lane.
Yeah, you should here. You should here, because like I think Bottom was mid. I believe she's yellow, right? Yeah, she is. Okay, or gray, whatever. Yeah, so gray was mid, so you can push here. That's the correct play.
Okay.
Okay. She's gonna come back pretty soon, but there's actually something you can do right here. So Bottom is not high level at all, or she shouldn't be anyway. There's no way she should be. Yeah, she's level 3, so you actually can go for like some kind of dive play here. They have Shadow Demon, which you have to be careful of. They do have a Furion as well, so it's a bit scary. So if you see Furion TP somewhere, like in this case, he might have TP top or whatever. No, he didn't because it's off cooldown. You can actually go for a dive play here just because it's a Bottom. So just keep that in mind. And this applies to like, most carries versus most offlaners. It's like if you're in the situation where you've been freezing for a long time, and like you've denied the offlaner successfully, then when you finally start to push, they might be in the position where they're like hungry to get XP under the tower, and they don't respect you, and you can like fight them under the tower and kill them. So just look for those kind of plays. Okay.
Yeah, I would tend to more think about, okay, now Bottom is back, so I'm gonna go focus on pulling the lane back again, rather than looking for like the more aggressive play, I think.
Yeah, definitely look for opportunistic stuff like that, because those sorts of plays are game winning. What you're doing is fine, like that's great. You're getting a lot of farm out of it, but it's not game winning.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's definitely important to like kind of hone your killer instinct, so to speak, like when it comes to this game, especially when you're playing carries like Slark.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about this.
Yeah, I remember this actually. I right after I pounced there, I was like, why did I just pounce?
Yeah, it was pretty close. It would have been pretty high reward, because I'm pretty sure you would have killed her. Okay. So your positioning here is good, and that's important. If you like when you're playing against Bottom Shadow Demon, you pretty much always have to position so that like, okay, if Bottom were to get an arrow, or if you are to get disrupted, you need to be positioned so that Bottom couldn't arrow you. So be around creeps, in some way. Or like if she's gonna arrow you, she has to like leap down and then arrow from the left or whatever. Then she doesn't have leap for the fight.
Yeah, and it's a short duration arrow that way too.
Right. So this is fine. Your positioning is good here, which is the start of this. I will say that it doesn't make any sense to Dark Pact right away. I don't know if you did that. Okay, no, you did that after. So it doesn't make any sense to Dark Pact right as you get out.
Oh, okay.
It does if Potom actually shoots an arrow, but in this case you didn't, to my knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, I might have just been
Okay.
a little bit like trigger happy on it because I thought she was gonna arrow me maybe.
Yeah. So remember, like way back at the beginning of the lesson when I said like use your eyeballs to look around. That's one of those moments where like eyeballs really come in handy because like if she does an arrow, then you don't have to Dark Pact anything. They have no follow-up CC really, so that's actually really important. Knowing when to use Dark Pact is super important because like okay, what happens if a third hero is added to this? In this case, I don't actually have a good example because they have no other stuns. But I guess okay, let's use Drow Silence. What happens if you Dark Pact here and Drow is waiting to silence you and she's like up here? You just get silenced. Potom kills you, or they kill you before you get your ult off. Maybe not because Drow Silence is like relatively short duration, but that's a possibility. Or like maybe it's a Bane or something like that, and you get Fiend's Grip. So Dark Pact timing really really important, and that's something that happens a lot with players.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I like it because it's going to relate to a lot of things. Like, I do need to look around more, and that was the reason that I did it, or that I made the mistake, so that's cool.
Yeah, no, that sort of advice is, like, almost not helpful, because people know that they need to look around more, but I feel like the reassurance is good. Like, having somebody tell you to do it is nice.
Yeah, and, like, this is what it's costing you, specifically in this situation. Like, it costs you.
Yeah, like, it's basically like a transaction. Like, okay, so because you didn't do this, you lost this. Yeah, I get that. See, that was good. That was totally fine. That was a good Shadow Dance right afterward. Like, Potom shot the arrow, you responded correctly.
Okay.
Their timing was a bit off. Well, actually, was it, though? I think it was. Because, like, there's no way you should be able to Shadow Dance.
Yeah, because it should be, like, inside of you when it hits you.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So,
I
their
don't
timing
know.
was, like, slightly off. It looked pretty fine to me, but that's fine. Okay, but either way, you played this fine. You pretty much have to ult there. Actually, maybe you could just Dark Pact here. I almost want to say you could, because if you Dark Pact right now, boom, one. Yeah, I think you could just Dark Pact actually, and you'd be okay, because you don't lose much HP even though you get silenced here.
Isn't that like greedy, sort of? Like,
yeah.
should I be going for that greedy of a play, or?
It's greedy, but I think you can do it. If you're the human calculator, you can kind of like guess how much damage they do. Like Potom is level 5. Okay, so Starfall does X amount of damage, 225 minus magic resist, blah blah blah. I think that's doable. Like that math isn't too hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a good feel for their damage.
Yeah, I play. I mean, from my Dota buff, you probably saw I have like hundreds of games on Potom. Maybe, yeah. So.
Okay, so I think that is doable. Maybe if you were on strength treads, you could be comfortable with that. But either way, ulting is fine. I just think you could have gotten away with Dark Pact here. I don't think that's a bad play though, by any means.
Okay. Fair enough. That's something to think about.
Because like if you die in the next 20 seconds or whatever, then that could have saved you. Okay. So Shadow Demon should still be here. Okay, Drow was just pushing. Fucking alright.
Yeah.
That's a 5k player. Yeah. Well, that was good. Good follow up.
That's 5k these days.
Yeah, I guess, right? Okay.
I see all those mistakes and I'm like, what the hell is this? But...
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like everyone makes those mistakes, but that's still goofy. Okay, I don't have much to talk about here. It's just teammate dies. You back up. Get some HP. Just be careful of getting disrupted there into arrow.
Okay.
That's all you gotta worry about, really. Okay. Mud Golem's nice. Okay, going for a stack. Okay, this is fine. I like that you're giving silence at the lane.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
That's good. Should definitely clear Mud Golems now. Actually, no, you can go mid. This is fine. Wait, where did your dude go? Oh, Tinker's top. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I have noticed that you have a lot of situations like this specifically. This might seem like I'm nitpicking or whatever, but it is kind of important. When you're CSing, there are going to be a lot of situations like this where the two creeps are really low and they're like about the same HP. It's better to focus one usually and like try to focus the one that the creeps are focusing as well. That way, like that one dies before the other one, and you can get both last hits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the tip there that helped me was look at the ones that the creeps are focusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right.
So that this is like more helpful in situations where you're laning and you're like choosing between two CS. In this case, it's like you kind of made them, be the same HP. But yeah, that will save you a lot of CS in the long run. Okay.
Okay.
There. So you push mid, ignore the mud golems. I think you should just clear the mud golems. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, because you're kind of like ignoring this camp's existence because they're there, but you can do it fine.
Yeah, I could have done like 2 camps there if I just cleared them.
Right.
So that makes sense. I eventually do them, I guess, when Tigger comes back and I have nothing else to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So just doing them beforehand would have been good when you didn't have anything to do mid. Now your pattern's like a little bit weird, and you're not going to be able to stack this camp. If you had gone
Right.
if you had gone straight down and then were able to clear up, just clear whatever camp this was, mud golems, satyrs, whatever it is, you could actually pounce up and then stack this way. That'd be
Okay.
good. Yeah.
So I should have went to the big camp and then basically just thought about stacking a bit and then going to the mid lane.
Yeah, something like that. That's completely fine. But basically, like, you want to make sure that, like, well, specifically, it's really specific to this camp, honestly, or this area here, is if you're coming from mid and you plan on farming like these two camps, it makes more sense to go to this one first because, like, okay, if you go to this camp and then go to this camp, you don't, you're much farther away from anything you would possibly want to go to, except like Fountain, I guess. So if you were going to Fountain, then you could go here and then here. That would make sense. But for anything else, like if you want to go back mid, you're farther away from it. If you want to go top, farther away from it. Bottom, farther away from it. This camp, farther away. Roche, Brune, everything except for like this tower, I guess, is like farther away.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
so it makes more
also
sense to go
the
that way.
creeps were meeting mid at 11:45, and I should have thought of that. I would have been closer to them too.
Right.
Okay.
I guess that also applies to other places as well, but it's like less specific. So like you can just apply that to other farming patterns. I'm not really sure how to give an example of that here, but
I understand it. I
yeah,
think.
you get the idea. Okay. Basically, just like think about your destination or where you want to go in 30 seconds, and that will help determine where you should be.
Okay.
Okay. So what's going on here? Okay, so you were pushing mid. You take rune, go to enemy jungle, farm this. I like that movement. Okay, that's good. Wow, you're really close to Furion. That's kind of funny. Okay.
Where is he?
He's up
Oh,
here.
he's in there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The replay's a bit laggy on my end, so
Yeah, that's Skype. That's how it is,
yeah,
unfortunately.
it's all good.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
he dies here. Yeah, he
That was
does.
good. It was a good pounce. No issues with that, really. Okay. Is this a core Kunkka? Oh no, it's support. Okay, that's fine.
hmm
Okay, that was good. You didn't panic at all. I mean, I don't have much to say about that, but it was good. Should kill that guy. Okay, in this case, it's like, it's actually better to let Kunkka X rather than go for the pounce, because X, like once he gets it off, it's instant and she can't do anything about it. Whereas like she could theoretically dodge your pounce, like she had plenty of time. I don't know what he was looking at, probably not her hero, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, this goes back to like how pub games differ. Like, I'm not gonna rely on my Kunkka in that situation.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Completely understand that. But like the correct play for sure is to let Kunkka X.
Okay,
But yeah.
that's fair enough because I don't even know if I thought about that in the situation. I honestly can't remember, so
Right.
something to think about later on.
Yeah, it really is just something to think about. Don't like stress over it by any means.
Okay. No, I mean, actually, I think it's good because I even started by telling you that I do like sort of tunnel vision and panic a little bit in fights. So it's bad that I didn't even think about it in the situation. I should have at least thought about it.
Yeah, I would say. Well, maybe it's not bad that you didn't think about it beforehand, but it's important that you start thinking about it now.
Okay.
I think that's a better way to phrase it.
All right. I
Right,
was looking
so-
for SF there because I thought he was Invis with Shadow Amulet, but I couldn't find him. So.
Right. So you were chasing people down here. You just saw somebody here. I think it was Nature's Prophet. Then SF runs down here.
But he comes. I thought he came back. I don't know where the hell he went.
We'll see. I don't know if this is like that stupid ass tree targeting thing where like you go to click on a tree and try to cut it, and you click the wrong one basically. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but that's what it looks like to me.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely cut the wrong tree there, like regardless of whether or not it was like input error or if it was like the tree hitboxes being ridiculous, but that was a mistake.
Okay.
Regardless, so you could have killed the Nature's Prophet there for sure. Um, Also, honestly, like you can kind of read his sprout. That's a fairly common Nature's Prophet thing to do. Like even though it's like kind of like a noob thing, that's what you see new players often do. It's still like pretty common at higher levels, so you can be ready for those sorts of things and just try to like read his movements and see what he's gonna do.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually neat. So like right when I go on him, I can just like click, like just pre-click Iron Talon because I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah, you could. Well, I mean, like ideally you don't do that because you do want to be like moving in between your attacks, even if you're just like standing still.
Hmm.
You want to be like positioning, every little tiny millimeter that you can get an advantage on him on. You want to like take advantage of that, but just be ready to Iron Talon like at any moment, pretty much. Like know that sprouting is like part of his counterplay to you going on him.
Okay. Cool. I actually don't. So if you pre-select Iron Talon, like if you push Iron Talon the hotkey for it, can you still right-click on like attack a hero with right clicks?
You shouldn't be able to, no.
Okay. All right. I guess I knew that. I just like
Yeah,
yeah.
that's one of those things that you don't think about at all. It's like I completely understand that. I don't think that's a stupid question.
If I was like in a game, I would know that just from like the hotkeys and like feeling it, but I don't
Yeah.
know it in my mind. Okay.
No, you're actually a lot like me in that like you seem to play based off feel and stuff. So that I completely understand that. Totally relatable.
All right. Cool.
All right, so let's look at this.
Yeah, I feel like I use a lot of. Oh, I just didn't think the arrow was gonna hit me with that creep in between us. That's what happened in this situation.
Okay.
I just really didn't think that she could get it around the creep.
Yeah,
But she did.
I think this is like a perception thing because like it's pretty clearly going to hit you on my screen here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Let's try to find it. Okay, so you see Potom here. I mean that like is pretty clear. I guess it's like your hitbox it seems a little bit bigger than like what it should be. She definitely like clipped you on the edge, but yeah.
Okay.
I guess like only criticism here is like you should be watching the places where arrows will come from, guaranteed. So you could actually like position your camera something like this, and that would be fine. That'd be it.
Yeah,
like
that's a good
that'd give
point.
you more reaction time. That's like the only criticism I can come up with, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty.
I mean,
minor.
I should move out of the way of the arrow anyways. I guess like even if I'm 100%
Yeah.
sure it's not gonna hit me, I should still. Move.
Yeah, you should like give it some room.
Okay.
Okay, so Tinker TP's in. You have to Shadow Dance away. Totally fine. Luckily, a global comes out. Try to go in for the kill on Nature's Prophet. Okay, don't have mana for Pounce quite yet. Okay, nice. That's fine. Oh, okay. So what happened here? So arrow is used right there. That's important to note.
Yeah, I know I wasn't thinking about that. So why is that so important? Because like she's so close to me, it's not like it's I'm guessing it's a level 1 arrow because that's what the build is nowadays. Like
Oh wow, holy shit, it is. Okay, that's fine.
yeah. So like why is it that important to know? Because it like it honestly doesn't even really do that much if we're close together. I guess you were thinking that it's max level.
Well, no, either way, it's still a stun, right? Like obviously, if she arrows you from here to here, it doesn't really matter. You're right, but I mean, I guess if you have the foresight of knowing that you're going to dive the tower, then yeah, it's not that big a deal. But I think it's still important to note their CCs in your head, or like the CC cooldowns.
Okay.
Because like 17 seconds is significant. Like let's see what happens in 17 seconds here. It started at 15:24. Okay, so like all of that just happened in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like 10 seconds from now, if you had lived, arrow could be up, and that'd be important. So I think like yes, you're right that arrow is not like super good here in this like tiny little space, but it will be good 10 seconds from now, or it might be good 10 seconds from now, or maybe it won't because Potom's gonna die. But you know what I mean.
I totally get what you're saying. If the fight gets extended at all, like it's something that I'll have to worry about in another 5 or 10 seconds. Okay.
Right. So I think that's an important reason for that. But let's actually look at the fight instead of fucking counting cooldowns. Okay. So I think my biggest criticism here is you don't really have mana to fight here. Like you have Shadow Dance, you have Dark Pact, and you have Pounce available. Or you don't really have Shadow Dance because you don't have mana, but it's off cooldown. But you can only use one spell. In this case, you choose Pounce to kill a Shadow Demon. I just think that this is not like a fantastic dive to begin with. to be completely honest. If you're going to go for this kind of play, I think it makes more sense to go for a pounce on bottom, if anything,
Okay.
and then run down. It's kind of tough to say though, because also like if you go for that, you'd have to do it over the trees probably, and maybe you're closer to SF and you take more Requiem damage. You wouldn't know if SF is here though because you don't have detection. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that he had Shadow Blade.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think this is just the reveal or something like that because he's like pretty naked except for that. Okay. So yeah, I do. Well, you can't even pounce right now. Fuck, because you don't have mana. Okay. I don't think you should be diving if you don't have mana. I think that's like the answer here. Also, it said you had Shadow Dance earlier, but you don't, so that's a little different. Yeah, I think just focusing on the tower is more important than this in the first place. Okay. I think that would like prevent all of this really. Like having detection, ideally a sentry set down, and you guys going for the tower would be the better play.
Yeah. Okay. So there. Yeah. All right. So like to generalize it, so I can use it later. Basically, if I don't have mana and like there's a safe tower to get, just don't dive. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like you can even make it more simple. Is if you don't specifically know how you're going to kill a hero and you don't know what's going to come after that, then just hit the tower instead.
Okay. Sounds good. Also, my Tinker is just like top during that. Okay, maybe that's later on.
Yeah, he was bottom.
All right. All right. Cool.
Okay, so you TP top, which looks pretty fine. Somebody was already pressuring bottom, and there was like a fight going on top. Okay.
Yeah, I'm mostly thinking that I can push in the tier 2 and then farm their jungle, but I mean, 4 heroes show up.
Yeah. Okay. No, this is totally correct. That's fine. You want to be careful with this. Okay. You don't have Abbott on here, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was fine. I was thinking like you need to be careful of like Shadow Demon and stuff, but I don't know where he is. I guess he just ran back to base during this time. So Drow's here, Shadow Demon. What's he doing? Oh, he just books it. He uses Shadow Poison. Oh, he doesn't have Disruption. Okay, never mind. I was thinking like you could get disrupted here, and it wouldn't like you're just gonna be chasing for nothing. But in this case, it's okay.
Yeah, but
cooldown, so.
I mean, it worked out, but I know I wasn't thinking about Shadow Demon's Disruption not being there. Like I should have thought about that. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't think that makes it a bad play. I just think like thinking about those sorts of things is good. In a lot of cases. Don't be like too crazy about it though, especially if you're someone who plays by feel. Sometimes you just need to go with your gut instead of like introducing all these new thoughts into your brain. Obviously, if you can think about it, that's good. Like, that's going to help you, but don't worry about it too much if it becomes difficult. I would say try to, for sure, but yeah. Also, that totally is not me saying, like you're stupid or whatever. So if thinking hurts, like, don't do it.
It's
that's
okay.
Totally not what I'm getting at. Okay, because I'm the same way. All right.
It's fine.
Okay, so just farming jungle, totally fine. This is a little odd. What's going on here? So you push, then that's fine. You go jungle, that's fine. What like causes you to come back out here?
I don't know if I'm gonna have an answer for that. I don't know.
Okay.
Do I see pink and brown on the map, or is that a replay thing? I think maybe I see them on the map.
Okay. Well, you just saw 3 heroes down here. You saw Potom Green. You saw Potom SF and Shadow Demon. You see just Potom just shot an arrow there. So I just don't know what triggered you to go out towards that area. I think it was just like higher or medium risk, very little reward. It's very unlikely that you actually get a kill there with all those heroes there.
Yeah, I think that's. I think that's actually pretty accurate. And also in this particular game, like we're just so far ahead, I'm kind of feeling invincible, and like I can just make plays like that, and if it works out, it works. And there's a very low chance of me dying.
Yeah. Okay, that's definitely a bad mentality to have.
Okay.
it's like I get it. I totally get it. The feeling of invincibility and everything, but that's a good way to lose.
Yeah.
Against better players. Like maybe they are setting up a gank at that point. There could be heroes smoked behind them. Yeah. Luckily, like at the end of the day, you're Slark against a team with like 2 hard CCs, so you're gonna be fine probably. But just be careful with that stuff. It's definitely a much better approach to play like a grindy, like
Just safer
Yeah,
approach, kind of.
a grindy, safer approach. That's a good way to put it.
So when you're ahead, is that more applicable, or
I think it's applicable to
both?
anything. Like if you look at like how most carry players play the game, it always involves just like maximizing their farm if possible. Obviously, there are exceptions where like a player just has to go super ham because their team is like losing really really hard and they wouldn't be able to outfarm the enemy team and like carry a game. So they have to like try to throw some curveball shit. Like Eternal Envy
It's a
does
high
that a lot.
risk play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they go for the high risk play because they have nothing to lose really. It's like they're gonna lose
Okay.
that anyway. So um, my approach to it, like Dota in general, is always just like grindy. I think there's something to be said about having a very loose, like high risk playstyle, but um, yeah, I don't think it should ever be. You should never like force yourself to take high risks or whatever. It should be something that comes naturally, or
Okay.
something that you like sort of calculate the risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely have a much safer approach to Dota, especially playing carry. Yeah. Also, try not to like take that like too far in the other direction. Like, okay, never go for anything ever. Like you definitely need to find the right balance between like being opportunistic and being like really defensive. But yeah, that's my take on it. All right, so we are getting short on time here. Do you have any like questions that you would want to ask?
Let me look through my thing really quick.
Yeah, sure.
Um. Okay, so we can address this very quickly, I think. I'm experiencing like really bad variance right at 5K, where I actually am getting like a lot of ragers like right at 5K,
Hmm.
and it's happened like 3 or 4 times. I got to like 5,060, 5,020 or something, and like inevitably I get like 6 games in a row where it's just like right in a row. And I'd like you to just like squash that. Like, there's nothing about like that range or anything where it's just like a lot of like throwy, ragey people, right? I mean, is it just small sample size, bad luck, or what's going on with
Yeah,
that?
I think it's like a combination of a couple things. I do think like I've noticed something similar as well is that like around 5K is a time when people think they're good,
Hmm.
and that like can inflate the ego of people who have just shitty personalities, or to have experienced like the weird thing with Dota where it turns people into shitheads. So I think it's a combination of things like that, and also like it's definitely not like there's not a concentration of ragers at that MMR. I just think like people's egos might be a little bit more fragile,
Yeah.
if anything.
Okay.
I don't think it's like statistically significant though. I don't think it would ever affect something like that.
Okay. I'll
Maybe it would
try to
affect like a
skip
couple
through.
games out of that, but yeah. Definitely don't think about it anymore if possible. I know that's like the least helpful advice ever when it comes to like psychological blocks or like things like that, but like because
Yeah.
it is all in your head. It's so helpful. Um, okay,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Like the first 2 times I was like, yeah, it's just bad luck, but then it's literally happened like 4 times, like every time I hit 5K. So
mhm.
okay, but I'll try to squash that.
Yeah. Just know that
Um,
like everyone has been through situations like that. Like I got stuck at 4K for a long time, like way back when I was still playing. So
mhm. Okay, fair enough. Uh, I have a lot of questions, but I'm trying to pick out like just one more because I feel like we have time for maybe one more.
yeah, it's okay. I'm not gonna like cut you off as soon as the thing's over. I'll finish whatever it is. So ask away.
All right. Do you have any sort of clear checklist for smoke inking, especially in like the mid to late game? Because what it feels like, especially again in pubs, what ends up happening is they just go completely awry for whatever reason because we didn't like fill out the checklist,
Hmm.
or we get a non-core kill and then it just like doesn't lead anything, and then we use the smoke in like a minute of all of our players' times.
Okay, so I don't have like a clear checklist, but I do have some things that you need to do when you're smoking. Um, Definitely make sure that you're smoking for vision reasons rather than going for specific kills. I think like that applies up until the very late game, and when you would be
Okay.
going for specific people. But really, like the value of smoke is it lets you get past certain barriers in the map. So like natural barriers like river that are usually warded, um, mid lane wards, lane wards at top or whatever. These common ward spots here, it lets you get past these things. And what that does is it lets you get vision in these areas, and that will lead to pickoffs later. So I think that is the most helpful way to smoke, like, or the most effective way to smoke is like smoke with the intent of getting vision or getting like a positional advantage on an objective. Like, okay, so TI5. Did you watch TI5 out of curiosity?
Yeah, I'm sure I did, but I don't remember a lot.
Okay,
But
so it was C-Deck was like the big standout team of the tournament. They didn't win, but they came in second, and they were like a wildcard team. It was crazy. But their big thing was called the C-Deck smoke. It's named after them now. So basically, they would smoke up in their jungle, and they would always go behind the enemy's tier one tower. They would get wards here, or here, somewhere in there, and they would like look for a kill. If they didn't get a kill, that was great. They just pushed a tower. If they did get a
okay,
kill, fantastic. Okay, they pushed a tower easily. So like their objective was to go for the objective, or their goal was to go for the objective. That's a better way to put it. It was not to get a random kill or whatever.
I like that a lot actually. Yeah, I didn't know that, so that makes a lot of sense, especially with tier one towers.
Yeah, it's like it's important in Dota to look at the structure of the game, and like I guess you could literally call tower structures, but that's not what I'm going at or getting at. It's like okay, creeps and towers and Roshan are always the same in every game. So like playing around them is really important because that's like the only kind of stability you're ever going to get in matchmaking.
Okay.
So that helps me when I like think about the game. Is just think about the structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
One more like conceptual question
sure,
about pubs specifically.
sure.
How much do you let your play get changed based on like the mistakes that your teammates are making or that whatever is happening? Like, do you try to predict? Like, would you say my teammate has been over aggressive? I'm gonna farm closer to them because I predict that they're gonna like be out of position in this part of the game. Or like, do you
Uh,
change your mindset based on things like that a lot, or not really?
I try not to let stuff like that affect me. It's definitely like okay, if I notice something like that, okay, I might adjust slightly, but it's more so in like team fights ish. Like if I realize that okay, my Tinker has been always going for the disruptor, I might play around that in some way. Like obviously that's just like I pull that so far out of my ass, it's not even funny. But I will think about stuff in team fights. But when it comes to like other players, I'm usually too focused on my own shit to
Okay.
worry about like stylistic choices of my teammates or whatever.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
So like an add-on question to that is like you don't spend a lot of your time in pubs like trying to direct your teammates and like asking for a lot of shit.
fuck no, absolutely not. Holy shit.
All right,
I'm
because
like
I
the
do
complete
that
opposite of
like
that.
yeah, I do that a lot. Like I'll literally be
Oh,
like,
okay.
let's smoke to get up words like right now. Like that's high priority right now. We need to do that, and I'll like try to direct my team.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I don't know how successful it is. I haven't like watched enough replays to know, but
Okay. So I will say that like if you're a natural amazing leader, then that's fine. But most people are not natural born Dota leaders. Um, regardless of your game understanding or whatever, there's a huge difference between understanding the game and being able to lead, especially for random people
mhm.
that don't know you and probably hate you because you're Dota or you're part of Dota and nobody actually likes playing Dota.
And I
Um,
stole the safe lane, of
yeah,
course.
and you picked Slark, so you're a piece of shit. So
Yeah.
like that's just how it is. So I personally don't think that directing your teammates is good unless you're PPD. Um, I okay, this is like me being 100% honest and trying to like keep personal biases aside of like mic users or whatever. I think that is a good way to ruin games actually, is like directing your team too much. I think letting people play their own game is usually better. Even if what they're doing is really stupid, at least they'll be like in their element. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Obviously, that does not apply to scrims or like team play. This is only pubs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you think it would be worth it for me to just try like turning that off a great deal of the time and just trying to play my own game? You think
Yeah,
I'd get okay.
yeah, I think so. Just keep it to like very specific, crucial things like okay, go to Roche now, or like type R in chat. That's a classic favorite of mine. It's just like go R.
Okay.
That works. Or like B, that's fine as well.
Okay.
Things like that are okay, because that's like their commands and they get the point across, and you're not like micromanaging everyone.
Yeah,
Um,
but like they don't do it if you do that. And like
no, I
Envy has
know.
said this before, like you literally
Yeah,
have to scream at people for them to do anything. And like
yeah.
that's true. It
I
really
totally
is
get
true.
that. I totally get that. Envy is Envy though, and he's actually really fucking good despite being like a huge goober. And he's
I
really
know
smart.
he's like my favorite streamer and
Yeah,
not because he's a weeaboo, it's because really like his play. But
yeah.
um
So Envy can direct his team and get away with it because he's like really smart in most cases. That's the way I look at it anyway. I don't like if you want to do that, that's totally fine. But I personally don't have success with it.
okay.
I find it
And
just like
most
builds
people don't.
resentment. Yeah,
Okay.
I've definitely found like when I have people like that on my team, I don't do well, personally. Whether it's like it's distracting or like it's trying to mix too many things at once. I don't actually know the reason, but um, my experience and my gut tells me that you should not do that too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try to keep it more focused, more specific,
Yeah.
like crucial points in the game. Okay.
Keep it like more single player focused, really. Like it's solo queue.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I think that's it. So
Okay.
we're a little bit over time. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to send them my way. Okay. Also, I hate doing this sellout shit, but if you have any friends that are interested in coaching, send them my way. If you think I did a good job or whatever.
yeah, I will. I've already been talking to some of my friends about it, and they're like, "What, 750? That's insane." So,
Okay.
by
Cool.
the way, are you getting the other half of the 15 from Gamer Sensei, or are you only getting